What does it really mean to be a good man in love? Not the kind of love you see on movie screens or hear in songs that burn hot and vanish fast. I'm talking about the quiet, steady kind. The love that shows up when the baby's crying, the bills are due, and your patience is hanging by a thread. The love that doesn't shout, doesn't chase applause, but endures, and more than anything else, holds its form when everything around it falls apart. If you're watching this, maybe you've asked yourself a question too many men carry in silence. How do I stay strong when I'm tired, calm when I'm tested, loving when I feel empty? The answer, surprisingly, doesn't lie in modern psychology, relationship hacks, or even romance books. It lies in the words of men who lived thousands of years ago. Men who walked through fire, lost everything, and still chose virtue. Men like Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire but never stopped writing to himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength? It's what we explore today. This video is not just for husbands. It's for warriors of the inner world. For men who want to live, not louder, but deeper. Who want to love, not with control, but with wisdom. We're going to uncover 7 Stoic rules for healthy love, not as commandments, but as quiet compasses. Not to make you perfect, but to help you be present, even in the storm. Because the truth is, love doesn't break from chaos. It breaks from unconsciousness. And Stoicism, when practiced in the heart of a relationship, becomes more than a philosophy. It becomes a way to lead without force, to listen without reacting, to stay grounded even when the ground trembles beneath your feet. So if you're the kind of man who's done pretending to have it all figured out, if you're here to build something that lasts beyond moods, ego, and noise, then stay with me. This video will hand you tools, quiet ones, but sharp, the kind that reshape how you walk through love without losing yourself. And if this speaks to something deep in you, something quiet but unshakable, subscribe to Stoic now. We don't chase trends here. We build foundations. Now, let's begin where all transformation starts, with the hardest, yet most liberating lesson of all, the art of emotional self-control. Number 1. Master the art of emotional regulation. She says something sharp. Maybe she's had a rough day. Maybe you've forgotten something important. Maybe it's not even about you. But still, the words land, and something inside you stirs. That quick heat in your chest, the bite in your tongue, the urge to fire back, to defend, to set the record straight. This is the moment that breaks most relationships. Not the big betrayals, but the small moments when we lose the ability to pause. Stoicism teaches us that our first task is mastery over ourselves. Epictetus said, "If someone does wrong, it's their problem. But if I lose my composure in response, it becomes mine." That's not weakness. That's training. The same way a warrior sharpens his sword, a stoic husband sharpens his awareness. In the chaos of relationships, the mind will offer many lies. She disrespected you. She always does this. You need to shut her down right now. But Stoicism steps in like a calm voice in a storm and asks, is this within your control? Because if it's not, then your reaction becomes your only battlefield and your only victory. Practically, this looks like pausing before reacting, not bottling it in, not stonewalling, but buying yourself a breath. One inhale, one exhale. That's it. The moment between the spark and the fire. In that space, you choose who you are. You shift from emotional reflex to deliberate response. You protect not just your pride, but the relationship itself. Techniques? Yes. Use them. Box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Journaling. Write down what triggered you and what belief it touched. Reframing. She's not attacking me. She's in pain. These aren't tricks. They're reps. You're building a stoic muscle. But more than any technique, what you need is intentionality. You have to decide, who do I want to be when I'm most provoked? Because that's the real test. Love isn't proved in candlelight. It's revealed in conflict. When you learn to hold your ground, not in silence, but in awareness, you send a powerful signal. I am not here to dominate. I am here to understand. But I will not abandon my center for anyone. That's power. Quiet power. And over time, your partner will feel that. She may not say it, but she'll sense it. He's not reactive. He's reliable. I can trust him, especially when things get hard. That's the stoic edge. You don't just manage emotions. You transmute them. From heat into light. From reaction into revelation. So next time you feel your fuse getting short, remember, the pause is not weakness, it's wisdom. And the man who owns his pause owns the moment. And the man who owns the moment protects the love. Number 2, detach from ego, attach to purpose. There's a strange silence that falls after a heated argument. Two people, once close, now sitting just inches apart, but feeling miles away. And often, it's not the issue that causes the distance. It's the ego that refuses to cross it. In the Stoic Lens, ego is not strength. It's the illusion of strength. It's the mask we wear when we're too afraid to be wrong, too proud to apologize, too desperate to protect the fragile idea of being right. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them knows anything about the subject. And sometimes, the subject is the truth we refuse to face inside ourselves. A Stoic husband understands this. Marriage is not a courtroom. There is no jury to impress, no verdict to win. There is only the quiet, ongoing practice of building peace with another soul. When you fight to be right, what you're often doing is putting your image before your intention. You want to be seen as the strong one, the wise one, the victim, the authority. But the Stoic path calls us to something higher, virtue over validation. You stop asking, how do I win this? And start asking, what does love require of me right now? And love often requires surrender, not of your self-respect, but of your self-importance. It requires you to see beyond your pride and return to purpose. What is that purpose? It's not to dominate, manipulate, or control. It's to cultivate safety, to be a container of trust, to create a space where both of you can be seen without shame and heard without fear. This isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's a new kind of masculinity, not the loud kind, the anchored kind. Ego says, if I bend, I break. Purpose says, if I listen, we both heal. In daily life, this shows up when you're willing to say, you're right, I didn't see it that way. Or, I may not agree, but I hear you. Or even, let's take a breath and come back to this when we're both clearer. You're not rolling over. You're rising above. That's the Stoic difference. Think of your relationship like a bridge. Ego lays down bricks with sharp edges, walls. Purpose lays down planks with intention, connection. Every moment you check your pride, every time you choose softness over sarcasm, you're reinforcing that bridge. You're saying, this matters more than my image. And that's a kind of leadership few men ever master. So next time you feel the urge to win, pause and ask, is this about me or about us? Because in love, there's no real victory in being right, only in being real. Number 3, practice active listening without judgment. It's a late evening. You're tired, half scrolling your phone, and she begins to talk. Maybe it's about her day. Maybe it's something deeper. You nod. You grunt. You think you're listening. But inside, you're already forming your response. Or worse, you're already done. Most men aren't bad listeners because they don't care. They're bad listeners because they're too quick to fix, to defend, to dismiss, thinking that love is shown by solutions, when often, love is shown by stillness. Stoicism teaches us that judgment is the first thing we must suspend, especially in dialogue. Epictetus wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not a slogan. That's a Stoic strategy. Listening is a discipline. And in a relationship, it's one of the most sacred practices a man can master. You may not realize this, but your partner doesn't always want your advice. She wants your attention. She wants to know, are you with me? Can I open this part of myself and not be fixed, feared, or forgotten? To listen like a Stoic husband is to approach every conversation with curiosity, not correction. It's to recognize that your silence can be a soft place for her words to land, not a void that swallows them. This means no cutting her off halfway, no turning her story into your own, no quick jumps to, well, you should just. Instead, you respond like this. So what I hear you saying is, help me understand that more. That sounds heavy. How long have you been carrying that? These phrases aren't tricks. They're invitations. They tell her, this space is safe. I'm not judging your emotions. I'm witnessing them. And witnessing is powerful, because in a world that constantly shouts, To sit with someone in their softness without trying to reshape it, that's rare and deeply healing. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you respect her enough to hold space for her reality before you present yours. You don't need to react. You don't need to rescue. You simply receive. Think of yourself as a quiet philosopher in the temple of your marriage. Your job is not to be clever, but to be clear, to be present. And presence isn't loud, it's attentive. It's putting down your phone, making eye contact, softening your face, letting your body say, "I'm here," fully. And when she feels that, truly feels it, something subtle shifts. The walls come down. The guard lowers. Trust is built, not in grand gestures, but in grounded presence. That is how a Stoic listens, not just with ears, but with the soul. Number 4, don't take things personally. She slams a cabinet. Her voice is sharper than usual. Her words come wrapped in frustration, and your name is somewhere in the middle of them. Instinct kicks in. You feel the rise in your chest, that heat in your jaw. You start taking it personally, and maybe you say something back, not because you mean it, but because it hurts. But the Stoic husband knows, you are not the weather, you are the mountain. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." At first glance, it feels too simple. But pause for a moment. Read that again. Choose not to be harmed. What if most of what wounds us isn't the words themselves, but how we receive them? In relationships, especially intimate ones, it's easy to take everything personally. We forget that the person across from us is a whole storm of their own. Memories, moods, unmet needs. Sometimes her words come from pain that predates you. Sometimes her frustration is shaped more by her day than by your actions. And yet, we still let it pierce us as if we were its target. A Stoic doesn't become numb. He becomes discerning. That means you learn to separate the signal from the static. You listen for truth, but don't absorb the turbulence. You don't let your self-worth be tossed around by every gust of emotion in the room. Think of it like this. When a child screams, we don't assume it's about us. We understand the child is overwhelmed. Adults are no different. We just use bigger words and more complex justifications. So when your partner lashes out or withdraws, ask yourself, is this really about me? Or is she simply moving through something, and I happen to be near? That pause, that question, that's your armor. Not to block her out, but to stop yourself from spiraling. It takes practice. It's not always easy, but there's immense freedom in choosing not to absorb every word, not to defend yourself every time, not to mirror back every mood. It also opens a powerful door to compassion. You shift from reacting to responding. From, "How dare she say that?" to, "She must be carrying something heavy." You move from ego to empathy, from defense to depth. And when you do that, you become the safe space. Even when things get chaotic, you remain rooted. You choose peace, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough not to take offense where none was truly meant. And that strength, that's what builds trust over time. Not perfection, but presence. So next time her storm rolls in, remember, you are not here to control the clouds. You are here to stand tall beneath them. Number 5, lead by values, not moods. Some days you wake up patient, kind, clear-headed. Other days, you're irritable, distracted, short-tempered, and you don't know why. Maybe it's work pressure. Maybe it's lack of sleep. Maybe it's just one of those days. But your marriage, it still needs you. Not the version of you that shows up when life feels easy, but the one who shows up regardless. This is where Stoicism becomes more than philosophy. It becomes discipline. It becomes a commitment to lead by values, not moods. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The Stoic husband doesn't aim for perfection. He aims for consistency, not in feeling good, but in doing good, regardless of feeling. In modern terms, you don't show up lovingly because you're in a good mood. You show up lovingly because love is one of your values. That means on the days you're drained, you still speak gently. On the nights you'd rather withdraw, you still lean in. On the mornings when your mind is cloudy, your actions stay clear because your values have already chosen your behavior for you. Think of values as the inner compass. Moods are the weather. If you let the wind steer your ship, you'll sail in circles. But if you lock into your compass, you'll make slow, steady progress towards something meaningful, even through the storm. This doesn't mean pretending. You don't fake a smile or suppress how you feel. You acknowledge the emotion, but you anchor your response in principle. You can say, "I'm feeling off today, but I'm still here for you." Or, "I don't have much energy, but I want you to know you matter." These are small sentences, but they carry the weight of mountains. Because they say, "My character is stronger than my circumstance." Over time, this builds something rare: trust. Your partner won't have to guess which version of you she's getting today. She'll feel the steady presence of someone who leads from within. Someone who doesn't get thrown around by every passing emotion. And here's the quiet truth. Living this way doesn't just make you a better husband. It gives you peace. Why? Because you no longer live at the mercy of how you feel. You live by what you believe. That's the Stoic edge. In a world full of reactions, you become a man of response. In a relationship full of highs and lows, you become the steady ground beneath it. So ask yourself, not once, but every day, did I act today according to my principles? Or did I let my moods lead the way? That single question can rebuild a broken habit, or even a broken home. Because when values lead, love follows. Number 6, cultivate gratitude for the present. You walk into the kitchen. She's cooking dinner, again. Maybe it smells familiar. Maybe it's rushed. Maybe she doesn't say much. You sit down. You eat. The evening drifts by, filled with chores, small talk, and silence. Nothing feels wrong, but something is missing. You stop noticing her. And that, not conflict, not chaos, is what erodes love most quietly. In the Stoic worldview, gratitude is not a mood, it's a practice, a lens, a decision. Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." We take for granted what we believe will always be there, but nothing truly is. The Stoic husband lives in full awareness of this. He knows everything he loves is fragile, impermanent, not to be feared, but to be treasured. That's what makes the ordinary sacred. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring what's hard. It means seeing what's beautiful anyway. It's choosing to say thank you when no one asks for it. It's noticing the effort in her gestures, the warmth in her presence, the constancy in her care. You want a better relationship? You don't need more romance. You need more reverence. Begin with a daily ritual. Before bed, write down 3 things about her you're grateful for. Not vague things, specific ones. The way she covered me with the blanket when I fell asleep on the couch. Her laugh when she thought the coffee machine was haunted. How she never forgets my mom's birthday. These are not trivial. These are the threads of connection we often miss until they're gone. Because the truth is, most men only wake up when love is at risk. When she's distant. When she's tired of not being seen. But the Stoic doesn't wait for the alarm bell. He practices awareness now, so regret never has to teach him later. In moments of frustration, gratitude becomes your anchor. When resentment creeps in, "She never appreciates me. Why is it always like this?" Pause. Shift your lens. Ask, what would I miss about her if she were gone tomorrow? That question will soften you. And in that softness, you'll find clarity. You'll see her again, not as a fixture in your life, but as a gift, one you're still unwrapping. And here's the paradox. The more you appreciate her, the more she feels safe to bloom. Gratitude creates space for both people to thrive, not out of obligation, but out of joy. So don't let familiarity become blindness. Don't let routine turn into forgetfulness. Your love may be quiet, but let it be watchful. Let it be full of thanks. Because in the end, it's not grand gestures that sustain love. It's the small, steady act of seeing her over and over again. Number 7, be a fortress of calm in chaos. The kids are screaming. The phone's buzzing. Something spilled. Dinner's not ready. She's upset, maybe with you, maybe with herself. The house feels like a battleground of tension and fatigue. And in that chaos, you feel yourself slipping. The urge to yell, to escape, to lash out, to match the noise with more noise. But what if, instead, you became the stillness in the center of it all? Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The Stoic husband understands this is not a quote, it's a lifeline. In the middle of stress, it becomes a silent mantra. I do not control the storm. I only control the sailor within me. Marriage, real, everyday marriage, isn't always soft light and sweet words. It's bills and dishes and misunderstandings. It's late nights, early mornings, and messy emotions. It's life. And in life, chaos is inevitable. But conflict is optional. The man who remains grounded amidst noise sends an unspoken signal. This space is safe. I won't add fire to the flame. I'll hold the line. That kind of presence isn't just stoic, it's sacred. So how do you become that anchor? First, by recognizing your breath as your reset button. When the heat rises, breathe. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Simple, ancient, powerful. Your body can't stay reactive when your breath is steady. Second, by visualizing your calm in advance. Stoics practice this through premeditatio malorum, the anticipation of adversity. Picture the moment, the tension, the triggers, the mess. And then picture yourself unshaken, still, firm, but kind. This mental rehearsal trains your nervous system to respond with strength, not shock. And third, by deciding in advance, what kind of energy do I want to bring into this space? Not what's easiest, what's most needed. Because sometimes, what your family needs most isn't your answer, your advice, or your opinion. It's your peace. You become the one who says, with presence, "It's okay. Let's breathe. Let's pause this until we're clearer. I know it's hard right now, but we'll get through this." You don't need to say it perfectly. You just need to mean it, to embody it. And the more you do, the more the environment around you begins to change. Not because life gets easier, but because you've become wider than the chaos. The Stoic husband is not void of emotion. He feels everything, but he's not ruled by anything. He knows his calm is contagious, and he chooses, again and again, to be the fortress when the wind howls. Because in the end, the storm doesn't decide the fate of the ship. The captain does. You've made it this far. That already says something about the kind of man you are, or the kind you're becoming. Because this wasn't a video filled with quick hacks or shallow platitudes. It was about the slow work, the inner work, the kind that takes honesty, stillness, courage, the kind of work most men will never do because it's invisible, because it doesn't get applause. But here you are. We've walked through 7 rules, not as a checklist, but as a compass. Not to make you flawless, but to help you face yourself. And through that, to love more deeply, more steadily, more truthfully. You learn to pause when the moment demands your reaction. To dissolve the ego before it turns love into a battlefield. To listen not with your ears, but with your soul. To hold your ground without taking things personally. To let your values lead, even when your moods try to hijack the wheel. To see her not as a given, but as a gift. And to become the calm that your home quietly cries out for. Not all at once, not perfectly, but daily, intentionally. Because the Stoic husband isn't defined by how little he feels, but by how clearly he sees, and by how deeply he commits to showing up in alignment with what he knows is right. Even when no one sees, no one thanks him, and no one understands the storm he's holding at bay. That's strength. Not loud, not flashy, but rooted, enduring, transformative. The world doesn't often celebrate this kind of man. It rewards noise, charm, control. But real peace? That starts in the quiet places, in the way you hold your voice steady, in the way you step back from the cliff edge of anger, in the way you love with discipline, not just desire. So here's my invitation to you. Not a challenge, not a test, just a quiet call. Pick one rule, just one. Practice it today, not for her, not for show, for you. Because every small shift is a step toward peace and power. And because the man you want to be, he's already in you, beneath the noise, beneath the rush, beneath the pain. You just have to keep choosing him. And if this video has stirred something inside you, even a flicker, let it grow. Share it with someone who needs this. Comment below, what rule hit you hardest? What part of your relationship is asking for your presence right now? And if you want more conversations like this, conversations that don't just speak to the mind, but to the soul, subscribe to Stoic now. This isn't just a channel. It's a place for men who are ready to live with quiet strength and relentless love. We don't teach how to look powerful. We remember how to be powerful. And before we end, just one last whisper from the Stoic path. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to control everything to be trusted. You just have to stand still, stay open, and love with both eyes wide. Thank you for being here. We'll be walking this road